You set up the subscription 6 months ago. A green badge, 15% off. Automatic delivery, easy. Here is what actually happened to your bill. Amazon's subscribe and save discount is real. The 15% comes off. But the price it comes off of, that base price is not locked when you subscribe. Amazon's own system can raise it quietly, anytime without telling you. Your discount badge stays, your monthly charge goes up. A 2023 Consumer Reports investigation found that subscribe and save prices on identical items ran higher than one-time purchase prices at competing retailers in 42% of spot-checked comparisons. The discount was active, subscribers were still paying more. And there is a federal filing on it. The FTC's complaint against Amazon, Case 2-23CV-00932, filed in the Western District of Washington in June 2023, documents Amazon's use of design patterns that hide material information from subscribers. Price changes are part of that picture. The FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection director said it plainly. Amazon tricked and trapped people into recurring subscriptions without their consent, not only frustrating users, but also costing them significant money. That quote is from the official FTC press release, June 21, 2023. Amazon's subscription services pulled in $35.2 billion in 2022 alone, according to the company's own Q4 earnings call. That number grew 9% the following year. The discount never disappears, the badge sits there, looking like it is working, while the number underneath it moves. The question is, how does the math actually work? And how much has it already cost you without a single notification? Here is how the mechanism actually works. Amazon does not set a fixed price when you subscribe. It sets a reference price, the number the discount is calculated against. That reference price can move anytime without notifying you. Third-party sellers list the majority of products on subscribe and save. They control their own list prices. Amazon's algorithm also adjusts prices automatically based on competitor data, inventory levels, and demand signals. Jason Boyce, a former Amazon seller who spent years inside the platform, documented this in 2023. Sellers reprice products dozens of times per month, and subscribers never see it happen. Here is the part that makes the math ugly. Your 15% discount stays exactly where it was, but 15% of a higher number is a higher charge. The badge looks identical, the savings feel real. The dollar amount leaving your account quietly grows. Amazon's own system design makes this worse. When a subscription renews, there is no price comparison prompt. No notification that the reference price changed. The charge processes, the box ships, and the cycle continues. The FTC complaint filed in the Western District of Washington described this pattern explicitly. Design choices that reduce the chance subscribers will review pricing before a charge clears. Consumer Reports ran spot checks in 2022 and found subscribe and save prices on identical items ran higher than one-time purchase prices at competing retailers in 42% of comparisons. Not occasionally, nearly half the time. The mechanism depends entirely on one behavior. You not checking. Brian Olsavsky, Amazon CFO, reported subscription services revenue hit $35.2 billion for full year 2022. That number grew 9% year over year into 2023. So who profits from the gap between the discount you see and the price you actually pay? And how much of that gap is structural versus accidental? That is exactly what the seller economics reveal next. Here is what a federal court record looks like when regulators decide they have seen enough. In September 2023, the Federal Trade Commission filed a complaint against Amazon in the Western District of Washington. Case number 223CV01495JHC. The document runs dozens of pages. It uses a specific phrase repeatedly. Dark patterns. Dark patterns are design choices that make a system harder to exit than to enter. Harder to read than to ignore. The FTC complaint argues Amazon built exactly that into its subscription flows. Not by accident, but by design. The filing specifically names subscribe and save. It documents how price changes are surfaced to subscribers in ways that make them difficult to identify before a shipment processes. By the time you notice, the charge has already cleared. Consumer Reports ran a spot check in 2022. Researchers compared subscribe and save prices on identical items against one-time purchase prices at competing retailers. In 42% of comparisons, subscribe and save was more expensive. Not cheaper, more expensive. That number matters. It doesn't mean the program never saves money. It means the savings are not guaranteed, and the design does not make that obvious. Open Amazon's 2023 annual report. The subscription services revenue line, which includes subscribe and save alongside Prime memberships, came in at $48 billion for the year. $40.8 billion. On Amazon's third quarter 2023 earnings call, CFO Brian Olsavsky described subscription programs as providing customers with, quote, convenience and savings. The FTC's complaint describes the same programs differently. The same month, the same year. So here is the question the next chapter answers. If the mechanism is documented in a federal filing and the price data is public, why are tens of millions of subscribers still enrolled and still being charged on Autopilot? Here is something that did not start with Amazon. The locked discount on an unlocked price structure, the core trick you now understand, was not invented in Seattle. It spread Walmart plus Target Circle, grocery delivery platforms, pharmacy autorefill programs. Every one of them runs a version of the same architecture. A fixed percentage badge sitting on top of a base price nobody guarantees will hold. Over 200 million individual product listings are currently enrolled in subscribe and save alone, according to Amazon's own seller documentation. 200 million items, each one carrying a discount that floats on a price the algorithm controls. The FTC saw this coming. In 2022, the agency published a report called Bringing Dark Patterns to Light. It identified subscription traps and price-obscuring design as among the most financially damaging consumer practices in e-commerce. Not the most annoying, the most financially damaging. The report did not name Amazon specifically. It described a system, and the system had already gone industry-wide. Which brings you to the number that should genuinely unsettle you. According to a 2023 Nielsen IQ Consumer Behavior Report, the average American household with 2 or more active subscribe and save subscriptions checks their subscription price history less than once per year. Less than once a year. That is not a gap in consumer attention. That is the operating window. If you never look, the price can move every single month, and the discount badge never changes color. Brian Olsavsky, Amazon CFO, told investors on the October 2023 earnings call that subscription services generated $10.2 billion in a single quarter. He described it as strong engagement, providing customers convenience and savings. He was not wrong about the revenue. The question Chapter 5 answers is simpler. Now that you know how the window works, what do you actually do about it? Here is the check. It takes 4 minutes. And it costs nothing except the habit. Open your subscribe and save dashboard right now. Find the oldest active item. Pull up the original confirmation email from the day you subscribed. Compare the two prices side by side. That gap, if there is one, is not a mistake. That is the mechanism working exactly as designed. The second check happens before each shipment ships. Go to a competing retailer. Search the same item, same size, same count. If their one-time price is lower than your discounted subscribe and save price, cancel that item. The discount badge means nothing if the base number underneath it has climbed. The third check is the one most people never set. Open your calendar, set a recurring reminder for 90 days from today. Nielsen IQ data shows most subscribers review their subscriptions once a year. Once a year is too slow. Quarterly closes the window. 3 checks, 1 dashboard, 1 competitor tab, 1 calendar reminder. None of this is complicated. What makes it hard is invisibility. The green badge stays green. The box keeps arriving. Nothing on the screen signals that the number changed. Amazon's subscription services pulled in $35 billion in 2022 alone. Per their Q4 earnings disclosure, that revenue does not grow because subscribers are paying less. That brown box on your doorstep is still arriving on schedule. The badge is still green. The only thing that changed is what you now know to look at before the next one ships. 4 minutes once a quarter. That is the entire price of staying ahead of it.